These Election 2021 candidate interviews are sponsored by Edmonds College, Office Tech, and James Russell PLLC, Certified Public Accountants and Business Advisors. Welcome, everyone. I'm Teresa Whipple, publisher of Lynnwood Today, and I'm here with Linda Jones, President and CEO of the Lynnwood Chamber, and we are going to be presenting a series of candidate interviews for Lynnwood City Council and Mayor, and this is one of those. We are going to bring in now the George Hurst, who is the current president of the Lynnwood City Council, and he is running for mayor of Lynnwood. And welcome, George, to the program.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with the first question, and then it will be Linda's turn. George, what are the qualities that would make you a good leader for Lynnwood?
What are the qualities?
Yes.
I think the first thing you have to be able to do is actually listen to people and listen to what they're saying. I know a lot of times, especially amongst us politicos, we like to think about what we're going to say next, and we're not really listening to that person. And I think that's the one thing I concentrate on, is just trying to make sure that I am listening to the person that is talking to me. I'm hearing what they're saying and not getting ready to just jump in with an answer. And I think the second thing is that you really need to be able to work with people of diverse opinions. In my first term as council member, I was heavily involved with a couple of issues that had been stalemated with politics for decades, and that was the creation of a regional fire authority and also the consolidation of our two 911 call centers that were in Snohomish County. And both of those really were important for the public safety of our region. And with the Regional Fire Authority, yes, Lynnwood had to quote, give up, control, but actually it created a better fire service for our community. And then the two 911 call centers, that one was really tough because there was a snowpack and a snowcom, and the southern cities in Snohomish County were the snowcom, and there were several small cities involved, and they did not want to give up any type of political control. But for me, it was more about, because of these two call centers, there were areas in the county where there were call delays. It could be up to 20 seconds. And what sealed the deal for me on that was, if you remember, there was that shooting in Mukilteo of some high school kids. And one of the kids who was shot, he called 911. And just because it was a cell phone, it went over to a cell tower in Clinton and then pinged over to Snowpack. Well, Snowpack call center did not cover Mukilteo. So as soon as he said he was in Mukilteo, they transferred the call to Snowcom, which is a smaller agency, smaller call center. They were flooded with calls about this shooting. This kid who's been shot gets a busy signal. And in fact, he never did get into an operator of Snowcom. He finally said, "Oh, the police are here," and he just hung up. So to me, that was it. We need to have one center, one timed call. And anyway, it was still a tough fight, but I think I was able to actually be somewhat of a leader among the cities and be able to get people to finally agree. And we accomplished that. And it's that type of thing. You need to be able to, one, listen, but also to be able to work through some of the differences. And I think those are good qualities to have as a mayor.
Okay, I appreciate those examples. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Linda?
Thank you, Teresa. Lynnwood has been cited as a model for regional growth. How does Lynnwood grow while still retaining the character of its existing neighborhoods?
Oh, that's a good question. Because we are in for some dramatic changes in our city center around the light rail train station that's coming in. And how do we preserve that with all the traffic that's going to be around that center? We have trains that are going to be coming in during rush hour every 8 minutes, in and out. We have buses that'll be going through that transit center during rush hour every 30 seconds. So you can imagine just the massive amount of traffic that's going to be concentrated in this one area. Well, at the same time, we need to be able to make sure, like you say, that we somehow retain what I think is really kind of a small city type of atmosphere amongst our businesses. And I think one way we're doing that is we are focusing on what we're calling our city center development. And that is going to be a promenade type of streets with the ideal is with retail businesses on lower level and with residences on 3 or 4 floors above those retail businesses. And I think if we can be able to concentrate all that activity in the city center, then we can actually look at our neighborhoods and say, we really still want to make these neighborhoods more walkable, more what they call multimodal. So people feel like they can bike, they can walk, and we are concentrating on a plan to do that also within the city. And lastly, what's most important for me is our parks. Our parks, I think, are the place where anyone can go into our parks and enjoy the open spaces, and it doesn't cost anything for those people to be there. So we want to make sure that we're maintaining our parks and we're expanding our parks. And we do have some areas where we can actually grow with our park system. And that's why we started a park impact fee for developers so that we could actually be able to have funds to purchase land. And pretty soon, I think we're going to be able to have a real neat one that's going to come forward. But I think that's the type of thing. We want to, create more parks for our neighborhoods, but that growth that is going to be coming with the train station, if we can focus it in a high density type of area, I think we can keep kind of our other residents and neighborhoods free from having to be such a dramatic change.
Thank you very much,
Mhm.
Teresa.
All right. There's another issue that is of importance to folks, and that is what ideas do you have for addressing the city's homelessness issue?
Yeah, boy. Well, for the homeless to be homeless, that means they don't have roofs over their heads. And that's really the housing shortage in our city, but really, it's in the state, it's in the county. We just don't have housing available for a lot of folks. And especially we don't have housing that fits certain income levels. Right now, we are building lots of apartments, and we're surrounding the mall. We're surrounding the train station with apartments. And any single family residences that we're building are really $1 million homes. Well, neither one of those are going to help as far as the homeless population. So I think we really need to take a look at two things. One, there's a segment of the homeless population that really is there because of addiction or mental health problems. And we are in this right now about ready to award a contract for the new criminal justice center. And I'm really excited about this center because it's kind of counterintuitive that during this time that we actually are talking about building a larger jail, but within that facility, we are going to have both drug rehab services and mental health services. And I think that's what is exciting, is that we're going to have a place where we can change lives. And so in addition, we're building another courtroom, and that courtroom is going to be designed for diversionary type of courts. So either a homelessness court or a drug court. And, the idea is to stop this pattern of arrest, release, rearrest, So that's that section of the homeless that we could help with. But also, in our city, we have codes and zones that do not encourage a lot of diversity of types of home construction. So we really don't have a place where we build townhomes or triplexes or duplexes. that type of thing, that would provide housing for, a little bit above middle income, right? But also we have an opportunity to have what they call our apartments. So just single rooms, very inexpensive, and it's almost like in a dorm type of situation. A lot of those are being built. I toured some down in Ballard, and really, I was not thrilled with the thought of this, but when I went there, some of these, they look great. And really, I think it's low enough income that we could be able to put some folks into that. The last thing we need to face with is that there are people that we need really transition housing. Those that do want to get out of homelessness, but they don't have the jobs. They don't have the capabilities yet. So I'm looking at trying to find maybe a nonprofit that is willing to come in and build some sort of transition home so that the transition housing, so that those folks can come in and you give them services, but also you give them a chance to maybe some job training, some sort of certification. It's really, it's not an easy solution at all. But I think you do all these different types of attacks on it, and you have a fighting chance there.
How would you help Lynnwood businesses that have been affected or impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah, that's a good question, and one we've been working with. We've had with the city council, we've had business roundtables, we've had folks come and talk to us and everything. But I think what we need is a little bit of a mind shift in our city administration, in that instead of being a fee and tax collector, the city has to be more of a partner for our businesses. We need to be able to tell them, hey, yes, we have these fees, and even it's a dirty word in some places, but we do have some sort of a head tax for employees. But if we offer the businesses some sort of premium, some sort of, this is why we charge you, it's because we're going to partner with you, we're going to work with you. I really like the idea of for immediate help with businesses. There are a couple things we can do. I like the idea of a buy local type of a program, either with a gift card. I mean, we've kicked around an idea of stay in Lynnwood. You stay in a hotel a couple of nights, and then you get a voucher for $100 to spend locally, and that would be a good way to kickstart. But as far as long term, I really think that for our businesses, we need to find a way where we can encourage. Everybody wants to go for the big fish, the Amazons, the Microsoft. Let's bring those guys in, and we're going to have high wages. But how about if we focus on the smaller entrepreneurs, the starter type of companies that really will create a platform so that we can raise the median income level of residents in Lynnwood. We have one of the lowest median income levels in Snohomish County right now, and that's because we're so dependent on retail and service jobs as far as employment. So I would love for us to start working on encouraging entrepreneurs to come in and encourage businesses to know that we're there for them. We're just not going to be collecting fees. We want to work with them.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this question is, do you have ideas for better engaging residents who have not traditionally been involved in city government?
Yeah, boy, we talk about that a lot, because back in the old days when we met in person and we didn't do Zoom, we would have one or two people at our council meetings, unless there was an issue that a neighborhood got a hold of, and then we would, we'd have 100 angry people there. And the reason they're angry is that typically we'll tell them, well, we made this decision and we had a public hearing and nobody came. Well, I don't think that's because we don't communicate very well as far as what we're doing. Why did we have this public hearing? And how did we let people know there was a public hearing? Our code just says we put it in the public notices of the Everett Herald. That's one of them, and everybody reads those every day, I'm sure. And then we post it, outside City Hall and maybe the library. That doesn't work. We have tossed around the fact that we want a reader board in front of City Hall so that people at least driving by know, hey, there's a public hearing tonight and it's about so and so. And then we also have made a decision on the council that since everybody has, those who have computers and have access to internet, have gotten used to Zoom, we want to keep that as a portion of our meetings. So we're going hybrid. So in fact, July 12th is going to be our first meeting where we're going to be at the dais and we're going to let people come in, but at the same time, we're going to have a big screen of people who can Zoom in. And at least because our meetings, they are at 6 o'clock, and then when people actually start going back to work, possibly, and there's rush hour. Well, who the heck can, even when they're at 7 o'clock, it was tough to leave, get from Seattle into Lynnwood, have dinner, hurry up, let's go down to City Hall. Well, now you don't have to do that. You can, get home, click on the computer, and away you go. The challenge that we have is, what do we do with folks that perhaps have hearing disability, or folks that don't have English as a first language? Those are the things we're now trying to work through to make sure that we are accessible that way. But I think it has just been, that's one of the things that ever since I've been on the council, we keep on kicking around. How do we get people more engaged? It is a challenge. We've done town halls. Maybe we need to do more as far as going out in the neighborhoods and saying, this is where the meeting is. But of course, there's so many notification regulations about that too, that sometimes that's a challenge. But as long as we can communicate, I think the biggest thing is if we are going to have a public hearing that's affecting your neighborhood, we want to make sure we do a lot to make sure that folks know about it so they can either Zoom in or come in person and yell at us. It's their choice. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Name the top challenge you see for Lynnwood in the next 5 years. And as mayor, how would you address it?
Oh, shoot. Do I get 30 seconds? Yeah. Top 5. Well, for me, it is housing. Housing is number 1. It's probably number 2 and number 3. We really need to be able to diversify our housing stock. We ignored that in the last strategic plan. Housing wasn't even mentioned. So that housing we really need to address. That's number 1. Number 2 will be making Lynnwood a sustainable city, and I mean one that where we have an emphasis on electric cars. That's the way the automakers are going right now. So we need to have a fleet in the city that's all electric. We need to start putting charging stations on our streets. I know there's some of the private, the mall has a few, the convention center has a few, but it's going to be the way of life in 5 years. I think most cars will be electric. And in fact, I think the state's mandate, our legislature has set as a goal to not allow anything but electric cars to come into Washington or be purchased in Washington. So sustainable, part of it will also be that I would love to be able to have incentives for solar power in construction projects that are in Lynnwood. I also, one of the big things that is over our head right now is that we have a wastewater treatment plant that empties into the Puget Sound. And it is an old wastewater treatment plant, old technology. We have had the Public Works Department in my time on the council, I know of at least 3 declarations of emergency they had to call, which meant they had to make immediate purchases to fix what was going wrong down there at the wastewater treatment plant. So, for me, and well, I think for all of us, Puget Sound is so precious that we need to be able to plan and get ready to have a high-tech type of wastewater treatment plant so that we are not affecting what's going on into Puget Sound. I mean, I think we saw it just this last weekend. I think there were 10 beaches that were closed down because of bacteria in the water. And with the climate change that's happening, I think we really need to be mindful of what we're doing as far as Puget Sound. So housing, sustainability, let's see, third would be make sure, we talked about it a little earlier, but make sure that we are a partner with our businesses, that we are bringing businesses in, that we just don't have to have minimum wage businesses in Lynnwood. And then the fourth thing is that I really do believe that we need to be able to focus on making sure our workforce in the city, our employees, reflect the diversity of our region, of our city. We need to make sure that, right now we are struggling as far as our police department to find to be able to hire candidates who are of the BIPOC community, because they are in high demand everywhere, because everybody wants this. And so we need to be able to recruit, and we need to be able to focus on making sure that we are hiring folks that will reflect our city. And then the fifth thing would be, really, I think we touched on it. I really would like our city to be engaged a lot more than it is as far as decisions that both the mayor and the council make. And we've talked about that, what a struggle it is. But really, that's how you get a vibrant type of city is people who are interested in what you're doing, and they know that they are helping make those decisions.
Thank you very much. Well thought out.
So George, as mayor, how would you address concerns from marginalized populations who might not feel safe living in Lynnwood? And I'm going to clarify that a little bit, because we've had a question from folks in past conversations about what we mean with that question. So basically, people who might not feel safe either just walking down the street because of, for whatever reason, if they're a person of color or that kind of situation, or perhaps a public safety question related to interactions with police. So those are the kinds of things I was hoping to ask you about.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think there's several facets to that. One, let's talk about the police. I think our police force really has made a concerted effort to make sure that they have the training so that they are not the militia. They are actually the community police, and that they can relate to folks there. If they get a call, their reaction is not to they want to control the incident, but at the same time, they don't want to escalate it. So it's more of a how do you de-escalate it, and how do you make sure? Say let's say that someone is in a mental health crisis or having a reaction to a drug. My hope would be that I want to have a mental health response team that's there 24/7. Now, we have an embedded social worker right now with our police department, but it's shared with Montlake Terrace, and it's actually funded by Verdant right now because of a budget cuts that we had to make. But for me, what we do for our police is that we make them respond to every call, unless it's a fire or a medical heart attack or something like that. And here they are, they're coming into a situation when really probably the best response is not to have somebody there that has a gun. That's just the way it is. And so I would like this mental health response team, and other cities have done it, is that they would come and respond to that type of call also. And so they would actually be the mental health experts that would be able to de-escalate some of these events with folks with mental issues. It's bad results. It comes in bad results. That things just get out of hand. And so I would like people to know that we have a police department first that is community oriented, and also we have a police department that has a division where if there's a mental health crisis or something that a social worker can do, you're going to get a response from someone like that rather than a heavy police response. As far as people feeling safe on the streets, I think one of the things we can do is we're rethinking some of our streets and making them more pedestrian friendly. And I mean, that's a challenge in Lynnwood because, we have a lot of traffic. And I think it's 196th and 44th is one of the busiest intersections in the state. So, but at the same time, if we can make an area or streets in our city where people feel that they can walk safely and not just traffic, but also just feel safe with their surroundings, then I think we've done a lot to make our city really a place that people are really going to want to live in. I know I do. I love it here. Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me. Pretend you are talking to a business owner who's considering relocating their business to Lynnwood. Give us your 30-second sales pitch for why the city is a good place for business.
Sure. This city has so much potential for growth, but at the same time, right now we have residents who love our city. They really do want to buy local. They really do. I'm amazed at, just look at the mall. It's a busy place. And if you're able to say, look at this, in this area, we have a lot of people who come to Lynnwood just to be able to go to the mall. Well, guess what? If you're surrounding the mall with some retail spaces, then come join us, and you're going to enjoy the benefits of being able to be in a city where people, they are there to live and work and play. And I think that's our goal as a city. That's what we want people to do. And so, yeah, please come.
Very much.
All right. George, now is your time to be able to tell voters why they should vote for you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. And thank you for this time. So let's do from the beginning. My name is George Hurst, and I'm running for mayor of Lynnwood. My wife and I have lived here for over almost 30 years, and we have 4 kids who graduated from Lynnwood High School when it was actually in the city of Lynnwood. And I am just thrilled that I have an opportunity to become a mayor during a time. I think the next 4 years are really going to be a tipping point for our city. For myself, housing is going to be a top priority for my administration. In the past, housing has been actually a tool of systematic racism, let's face it. And if you look at a demographic map of Lynnwood, one that's based on economy and on ethnicity, you'll see that Lynnwood is in fact a segregated city in some ways. So I want to change that, and I want to change housing codes, and I want to change zones so that in Lynnwood, all types of housing can be built in Lynnwood. We can have diverse types of housing, and that means we're going to have diverse neighborhoods. And I think that's the best goal as far as making a livable city. If we can focus on income-based housing, then we can achieve diversity, equity, and really, I think we're going to be on the path to end homelessness. And then the recovery of local businesses, that's another focus of my policies. For so long that we have been a city that has collected fees and taxes, but we need to be a partner for our business community, and we need to have policies that will encourage entrepreneurs and startup companies to come into our city and build a platform that can increase the standard of living for our community members. And then I've talked about this, but I want to emphasize it. I want Lynnwood to be a sustainable city. Our infrastructure needs to be prepared for our population growth. It's not going to be very long before we have a population of over 50,000 people. And I want to make sure, as I said, I want to make sure we emphasize electric charging stations, electric cars. We do that incentive for solar power in our construction. This is not, and then here's an idea I've been kicking around, and I love it. Why can't we have an autonomous electric mini transit system that will loop around the mall, send people, we'll get them to the train station, get them, and then when they come home, we'll send them back to the apartments and to the mall to be able to, live and purchase. That'd be great. And then finally, I talked about it, but I do want to emphasize we need to replace that wastewater treatment plant. We really do. So, for myself, I think Lynnwood has a great future. It has so much potential. We can become really not just a regional center. We can become the premier city in South Snohomish County. And I think that's where Lynnwood is heading. And with careful growth management and with a positive administration, we'll be able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, George. And thanks to everyone for joining us today. We will be back with more interviews, but we appreciate you stopping by. And thank you, Linda, for being part of this.
Thank you very much. Thank you, George.
That was great. Thank you very much.